What's up, everybody? Yet another one.
It's an event! Party time! Woo! Alright.
It's a party. We're gonna party like it's 1999. Now, as far as my turn of the millennium party songs go, I always go with Prince. I have no time for the millennium. I'm a 1999 man.
I have unironically used lyrics from the Pink song "I'm Here, Let's Get the Party Started." That's a thing I've done.
I'm coming up, so you better get this party started.
That is more or less the lyrics, yes. You clearly recall me saying at some point.
No, I unironically listened to that song.
That's it.
There might be some irony, like a little bit of irony.
Pink was the female pop star for me because she's just not that damn Britney Spears. That's just not her.
Yeah, you went with like the punk mom.
That's it. That's it. Her and
Like,
Jewel. I always thought that,
I love Jewel.
Jewel. Everybody loves Jewel, man.
I like Jewel because it reminds me of Gem, that 80s TV show.
They're doing a live action Gem movie. Did you know this? I don't know what makes you think a live action movie featuring like the gimmick was like she had a holographic device, so I guess
like
it gives
computer,
an excuse.
Like some kind of
yeah, and it like did an overlay of a hologram. But anyway, look for your live action Gem feature length film in I think 2016. It's happening because if we can do Josie and the Pussycats, what can't we do?
What can't we do, indeed? Okay. There was a song a couple of years back that was like about, I don't know if it was about Gem. I'm trying to think of the name of the band. They did Super Sprode was like the song they were really popular for. And like I say it's popular. They were sort of known because it was on one of the Rock Band games. I'm really upset that I'm blanking on this name. Anyway, I'll think about it later in the review and like shoot it out.
Sure.
Speaking of that,
I never played Rock Band, so what would I know?
You missed right out. All right, let's talk about events. Let's start with a new year.
Yeah, look at those fireworks, man. It's a new year. It's a new day.
I guess a new year is much less good than the other. What was the old one that you discarded your whole hand?
Celebration. New Year's. It was New Year's celebration, not a New Year, just New Year's.
So I think the celebration itself is much better than the year.
Right, because you discarded your whole hand and drew 5 cards, and the idea is you'd have no cards in hand and then draw 5 cards. And yeah, that's pretty great.
Yep.
This one you have to do things.
Well, okay, so this card does have some applications. There are ways to pick up cards in your discard pile. There's discipline cards. So like there's 2 cards. One is Preservation of Forces, I believe it's called, in 20 festivals that allows you to pick up 2 followers.
Your followers. Yep.
And then there's Spirited Dispute, allows you to pick up any attachments.
So and just cards, things like your Way of Faction X. Right. There's a bunch of discipline cards. I play this in like some Blitzy decks. So this is a card that you play where you have Fate card specificity. I think you might see this in Fringe Dishonor decks because you really want to get your Mercantile Conflicts. Or if you have a bunch of Mercantile Conflicts, you can kick them out and draw some cards. With Discipline, this can turn into like a Glimpse of the Unicorn plus.
Twice.
And Glimpse of the Unicorn saw Fringe play. So this is a real event. I don't think having the festival keyword matters ever or will ever matter. But it's a fine card, and it's one of those events that being able to play it in triplicate can give you some smoothing out consistency issues for like goofy combo decks and that kind of thing. It's nowhere close to New Year's celebration, but it's not
at all. But it doesn't have to be. This is better than Glimpse in a number of ways. You get the cards right away. It's an open, not a dynasty. You get 2 cards, not 1. Your opponent gets to do it too, but it only gets 1 card. You get 2. So the symmetry doesn't even matter that much. This is a fine card. I think it'll see play in some
Enlightenment. Maybe drop your rings. Mahatsu said throw back.
Maybe I think like Blitzier decks that just want Force Generation. I can see follower heavy decks that can take advantage of cards like Preservation and pick them back up later. And then any deck that's running 10 to 15, like say 10-ish. Discipline actions and wants to have some sort of card selection, they'll all go for this effect.
Yeah, and to be honest, the question for me a lot of times is going to be, do I have space on the dynasty side for it?
Right. That's always
Not
the problem.
can I construct a fate deck that takes advantage of this card is actually pretty straightforward. Just finding space for it in my dynasty and making sure it fits into my deck is different. But it's a fine card.
Let's pop right along to another. Well, so if that was a fine card, this one is a totally awesome card. This is Enlistment. We know Enlistment. It's been around forever. Followers are just pushed. There's a lot of reasons to be in Followers right now.
Yep.
And Enlistment is not.
They gave it unique, which I think is super important because as a non-unique, it would be insane. And there's always a chance that in the nature of templating, you just sort of miss something like that.
So kudos to you guys. Good job.
There's not any ways to get events out of play yet, but presumably they'll come out eventually. Like that, it strikes me as very plausible.
Play a bunch of karmic junk. That's your way to get to your events, and just like flush aggressively. Events. Being a dynasty card, they're never that hard to get to. You draw 4 of them a turn. If you're disciplined about your flushing, you only run 40 fate cards. Like, this card is excellent. It's going to go in any deck that runs more than 7 followers. Like, I don't know what to say about it.
What I was actually getting to is that this is the sort of event that might force them to one day print a card that's like discard an event from play, just so that you can get your opponent's enlistments off the board. Because you're an opponent having an enlistment, that's a real that's a real advantage for them. This card is great. You say 7 followers. I don't even know if it's 7. And the way it interacts with things like there's both Ashigaru cards
and
now.
Archers. Yep.
But just followers as a card type.
They're great. I mean, you got Lonely Dojo, you got Gunso, you got Seasoned Ronin, you've got there's a lot of reasons to be in followers.
And one of our favorite followers when we did the New Order review is that Victorious Waveman, the reserve Ronin one. That,
you pick them back up
and
it's
that goes back to your hand, and this will reward you from just playing the card from your hand. So, I mean, they blow it up, you reattach it, you get another card.
There's a kata too.
Really great.
Instead of your stuff blowing up, it goes over to your hand. Like, there's a lot of reasons to be in followers, and this is no small part of it. It's tough with a card like Enlistment in the format. It's tough to justify playing items specifically, because like, why would you play a 2-force item when you can play a 2-force follower and run Enlistment?
And once you get this out, and every Colonial Conscripts and every Skeletal Troops all becomes just draw an extra card, like, whoa, daddy! Now
you're doing it. It's like 2-card combo, like this plus your deck. So play Enlistment.
It's great, and it's in a lot of decks. And the symmetry effects of, like, everybody being, like, everyone having Enlistment, that's okay too. You'll just draw more cards, and games will be more exciting because you'll have more options. So,
Into the Wastes. This is the second of this sort of card type we've seen. There was the one from the New Order that is the redirect effect that saw no play. I thought it would see some fringe play, but it did not.
I mean, it's still, I guess there's still hope for it. It seems to be, is it worth a dynasty slot? And the answer has been resoundingly no, not really.
Now that a lot of holding schemes are going to come down to 16 to meet just the bare minimum for Forgotten Legacy, there might be a little bit of space for a card like this, but Sneak Attack's not even seeing a lot of play, so I don't understand why this would.
Well, and I think Sneak Attack is just better. Sneak taking action. So, would you rather sacrifice dynasty slots versus slate slots for this kind of effect? There's an interesting debate back and forth there, but most of the time, the best action is not something printed on your guys, and if it is printed on your guys, you'll have Naval or something. I like Into the Wastes academically, intellectually. You can see it being a good card. You can see it having, but yeah. I don't.
It doesn't quite get there. Fine, I'm sure it's going to be a draft all-star.
Having it in your fate hand gives you a lot more flexibility to when you play it, I think, is the problem. Yeah. If you have an Into the Waste sitting in your provinces and you don't want to use it that turn, maybe you attack and they don't defend, well, then you're put to, do I keep the Into the Waste, do I flush it? And invariably the play is to flush it because you want to keep your development going, whereas Sneak is just still in your fate hand, and so you can easily have it next turn. It's a near miss, but I don't think it ever actually gets to justify its slot, or it struggles to justify because it's competing with so many other cards.
And more to the point, it's just competing with guys in holdings. It's tough to run more than 2 or 3 events because they're just going to
Yep.
start getting in the way, and you're going to have those turn 4s and turns 5s where you go like event, holding, and you feel like the worst L5R player that's ever lived. And I would almost certainly rather flip a guy to put onto the board and advance my board state than I would flip into the waste. So
Yep. That's the same problem with the redirection. It's just like getting the timing of it just right, getting the effect to work in a way where it's not just a good effect when it's resolving, but it's a better effect than what else the opportunity cost of the slots. So.
It's like these engage events are sort of showcasing what events can be and do. And I guess I appreciate what they're doing there, but it's just totally a miss. I don't think that this is where events should be going. I think this is events should be doing this sort of little marginal fake card effect as a dynasty card. It doesn't work.
Yep. And that's kind of what we have here with the next one in
Return of
the
Myth.
Return of Myth, where it's like, you can play 3 of these, and there are definitely legal non-humans. Keppo comes to mind. That's the one. But, I mean, there's all the ogres and onis and followers and Rattling Raider and all this kind of stuff. Like, this is a card that you can trigger and produce some real value. I mean, you get Rattling Raider on turn 2, very possible, 10 gold on 1. Rattling Raider on 2, turn 3. Blow your Return of Myth. Now you have 9 force. Plus, if you put some Rattling Archers down, like that feels like it's a big bonus, and it's a scalable bonus. So this is a card that you might actually be able to justify playing. But contentious terrain, right? So how is this significantly better than that?
Maybe
I guess
it's
if
not.
you have enough non-human followers, it is. But most of the time, it's the same issue where events should generally function more or differently than what you can just get from a fate card, and I think Return of Myth runs into that problem.
Well, I will come down. I mean, I don't like this card. I did play it for a while when I was just starting out in my Shadowlands sort of undead blitz deck.
Sure.
I think that there will be
Did you
fringe
play?
decks.
That was the one that had the like floating smoky like dragon face or something.
Yep, that's exactly.
I think I remember the art.
Yep.
It was like.
I think this card has fringe space in a dedicated like Ryan Roman style blitz deck. There's not a lot.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of unopposed force generation in this set. You're pretty much restricted to like grab your blade is the +2 on Kensei, and there's another +2, and things like this contentious terrain. So I think that in the same way that unicorn deck you were playing, or I guess it was out of Texas, but you had played it a little bit against me last deck that was playing all of the after you take a province +1/+1. This is sort of the same effect but less good. And I could see a hardcore like 2 guys on 2 attack, 3 guys on 2 attack deck running this in triplicate just to get to 9 force, get to 10 force.
The non-humans don't generally skew cheap. Most of the non-humans I can think of are Manuku no Oni type cards, or they're sort of heavier costed,
so far. But
I agree that this is the ability to just gain +1/+1 and then give your followers an extra +1. Like that's it. There's a scarcity of that effect for sure, and that puts the Return of Myth stock up a little bit in terms of will this card see play. But what you're trying to do then is force the card pool into a direction it's not equipped to handle, and it hasn't really been designed to handle. In fact, I think it's been designed to specifically disallow those kinds of effects. And whenever you start trying to force the card pool, you tend to end up with a slightly weaker deck, because that's just, it's like trying to play Kolot Master when they don't actually have a Kolot Master. You're trying to do something that they're working or have made a conscious effort to not let you do. And it's hard to be successful in that route. It's not to say you can't be successful, but it takes a lot.
On the other hand, we have Voitagi and Rattling Raider, so I mean we're getting there.
Well, Voitagi is not non-human. Voitagi is a human.
Undead are non-human by rulebook text.
I don't believe that is true anymore. I think that's like, the rules have changed a lot since then.
I don't claim to know the rules of the game. Short season. Okay. This is the sort of card that exists just to make me sad. No one will ever play it, and I don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is like if we ever successfully build the deck we really want to play that isn't supposed to exist anymore. Boom. It's actually a pretty good Dishonor counter?
Yep. Lots of things. Dishonor, a lot of the like play out your hand type decks. If you can time this well, you can strand a lot of attachments in their hand.
Yeah, I mean, they still get one on your turn, one on their turn, and the fact that it really doesn't last that long is always the problem with the short seasons. Though running it in triplicate, it's a straight meta card, but unlike say the New Order, which is a meta card, we'll get to in a flip or two. This one is just timing specific Dynasty meta cards. Even being able to hold the events now like you can, I don't think it'll ever see play.
I think if Dishonor ends up being incredibly oppressive, and I think it's an extremely good deck, and it has the potential to be I can see people reaching for this card, but not successfully. I think it's like the lazy, in time of war, just throw it in your deck and hope for the best sort of meta effect, and I don't like these very much in general. I think play style changes or sort of less obvious deck tweaks can help you a little bit better. The Heavens are watching. These sorts of card effects I never understand. I don't know when I'm supposed to play.
Right. So this one's 8. So the Heavens are watching is one of these cool. I don't know if it's cool. Events used to have this, and I guess they still do, though they're a little less. It's a little less obvious. But one of the things that makes events is that for a long time they were all unique, and events could just do all kinds of just whatever. In the same way that spells could just do whatever. Like their purpose as a card type was purposefully non-specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have an event that was just like, it could be a top-down story thing, like becoming the champion, or it could just be like super powerful but random, like Iris Festival, or like. And I feel like the Heavens are watching. I don't know if it came out a long time ago, and it's just it could never do anything. It was like when this flips up, things flip up, and so it replaced itself, and whatever. Who cares? Now you can play more of it. So does having more of this weird effect, does it help you? And the answer is not really. It gives you some information for an attack. It lets you flush a little bit more if you play a bunch of other events. It lets you, but it's not.
I guess if that's the thread I'm missing, like an event, some kind of super, like let's play a million events honor deck, but I don't know.
Yeah, like a no personality honor deck where every single one of your events is like a bow. Like if there was a bunch of events that are like open, put this into play, bow a guy, and then you could play this one and flip your provinces face up and like get more copies of the effects.
Sure.
I mean, I can see how it works, but this card's never going to see play. No one's ever going to play it, or they shouldn't. It's not worth the slot pretty much every time because you're going to see your provinces in there. Like you see your provinces just at the start of your turn, and the information isn't that valuable.
Well, people played Ichiwatu, so how is this card worse than Ichiwatu in a random deck that was just playing them to make it 39 cards?
Oh, right, where you just trigger it right away?
I mean, you flip your 4, it's guy holding, Heavens are
like
watching,
just deck
pitch Heavens are watching, flip it up. Like it's just a deck spinner. I guess I can sell myself on that. If you're a deck that doesn't need all slots, you just want to play a 37 card deck, like here you go, 3 copies of Heavens are watching.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess that's fair. Like just play it over and over as a thinning option. Okay, I mean 37 Dynasty card. That's a very spiky interpretation of the card, and you may have just sold me on it a little bit. I think that's pretty neat.
All right, let's pop on.
The New Order, the last of the events. So there's not a lot of events, and this continues the proud tradition of events as honor meta. We have a time for action. Now we have the New Order. Still unique, still destroys your province, which means it won't see much play because honor would have to really come through for that cost to be worthwhile. On the plus side, every spider deck is playing kind of a free war role, and just like they have their box trait, and now their box does something against honor, which it hasn't in a really long time. Where you're like, hey, my box lets me just always play one copy of the New Order, take that honor, and that's pretty powerful for me.
For sure. This will probably delay them by about like a turn and a half. It's a pretty huge jump. Like 10 doesn't look like a lot, but it's like a 25% increase.
Right, and the way honor decks tend to scale up, where it's like they gain 5 honor, or they gain 3 honor, they gain like 4 or 5, and then towards the end they start getting more. But if you're taking their provinces and you resolve a New Order, New Order will swing games in the same way that a time for action one in multiple triplicate would swing games, because it's a big chunk. I mean, certainly 10 honor buys at least one more turn, often 2 more turns, and that's the difference between winning and losing with a lot of military decks.
Absolutely. And Honor looks pretty well positioned, so this is a card to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah. I kind of wish we had something like this for Dishonor, because I feel like Dishonor is equally well positioned, and this is part of the player, like, let's blow up all my provinces, whatever. But yeah, this is a great event to have out there in the format. It gives people the safety blanket. It gives people something to reach for on the kitchen table when they keep getting like beaten up by, Honor as a strategy, and they just want like the super basement metagame. And it's fine to have those cards in the game.
Yeah, this is one of the better interpretations of the blowing up your rightmost province to meta people too, because you can blow this up at any time for equal effect. If you blow on 1 or if you blow on 5, it's equally good.
Yep. And I think that's it for events. I don't think we have any other events to talk about. So easy.
Yep, so now we're bouncing on to holdings. A lot of these we're going to go kind of quick because, there's not a lot to say about them, and because I don't want to have a 4-hour video.
Some are worth talking about, some of them are not.
Beautiful Host is not worth talking about. This is a marginal
Not at all.
effect.
I hated this card the first time around. I hated it with whatever the 4 for 3 that had the open and gave you bonuses equal to BA. No one ever plays this, and one of the things that I think is sort of worth pointing out is oftentimes against Dishonor decks, it doesn't come down to a question of like force scale ability. He just gives you like +1 force, even if you have 3 of them, and even if you get like a +6 force, that's generally not what matters. So
yeah, you're not losing to Dishonor because of force. You're probably losing to them because you return too slow.
Very rarely. Maybe it helps you overcome encircle terrains or something, but no one's gonna play this card, and that's
the final word on it. Now, Blessed Dojo, this was a gold edition card that I wasn't really around back then, so I can't know if it saw play or not, but I think this is going to see some fringe play. It is great with chasing Osanowo. It's great with redirecting Rage. Yep.
Yeah, I remember this card. We didn't have like Facing Your Devils or that kind of stuff, but we did have Keyhoes that cared about your chi and spells that cared about your chi. The big one for me at the time was actually the Wit's Truth. Obviously, that's not really, we're not really around there anymore, but hitting a 3 Shugenja with Blessed Dojo so you could Wit's Truth, a 5 honor hit from, say, a Kulot card. Yeah, I may have done that.
It's playable. But today,
so this is out there, and it's fine for chasing Osanowo or upping your guy for your touch of death. So it's fringy, and it's only for when you announce the action, so you can't do like attachment of stones or something like that. It's a holding that can do the first thing you need from holdings is efficiency for gold to cost ratio, and it's a 1-for-1. It's a 2-for-2, so that's acceptable. And then this is an ability that if your deck has so many things that care, it's fine. It's justifiable. You still won't use it more than once or twice a game because you have to bow for it, and generally you need to use your gold.
I'm actually going to come back around on this one. I think this is the type of card that I talked about a long time ago in my 2-for-2 article that looks fine and looks good, but ultimately is going to get pushed out of decks because it's just not the sort of powerful, fast gold scheme that we need in these editions. So it looks good, it looks nice, but ultimately I don't think if you do put it in your list, it's going to get cut before you even build it because you only have 40 slots.
It might be this kind of card that L5R starts to play a lot of more and more in the future because, the space that doesn't have clan holdings. But with 20 festivals arc, you're kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to getting your efficient holdings set up, and it's hard to find space for something like Blessed Dojo.
I just don't know how much breathing room 2-for-2s are going to have. When we get to Forgotten Legacy, I'll talk more about that.
Sure. So, and then Blessed Herbalist is similar problem, only I don't like its interrupt all that much, and it's a fortification, which I hate. I guess it is expendable, so if every fortification is expendable, that'll make me play them or make me more interested in playing them, but I'm still never doing these things, so I'm ready to move on.
They're trying really hard. This is actually, I think this is a marginally powerful effect.
at this battlefield.
Right.
So
No,
I
that's what I'm
mean,
saying. But you're gonna be if you're playing this, you're gonna be playing the kata that moves them. You're gonna be playing Caillou builders, so it'll be there. You can use it. It's just that it's a fortification gold. To take advantage of it, you've got to risk it. Um, there's so many things that interact with fortifications. Like these are real cards. Like overwhelming offense is a real card. People will play it.
yep.
So just if you do choose to play this type of effect, be careful and be honest with yourself in your post game analyses about whether or not this effect, though powerful, is worth the risk of exposing your gold to early attacks.
It does help get you saturation for the sensei. That's the only thing I can think of mattering, but we already sort of came down pretty anti of that sensei. So,
Moving on to Coastal Pearl Bed.
This was a holding that we played a lot of, and we played it in combination with Yukihimi's Hot Springs, and they're both back. And I think that
neither will see any play.
Right, because there's no more family.
There's no more Family Dojo. This card existed because Generals Hatamoto and Family Dojo. Those cards are both out, so these cards are out too.
So now they're there for like I guess a Brilliant Cascade in can shut. I mean, that's about it. There's not because holdings are all about gold and will always still mostly like the primary function of holdings is always first and foremost point A. Produce gold. That's the first thing they always are going to do. And if they do other stuff for you over the course of the game, that's great. That's incremental advantage. That's extra little values. But bowing your 2-for-2 to shut down their 2-for-2 tends to get sort of third level dimensional chess. And I just don't see Coastal Pearl Bed finding a spot.
As
Colonial Temple.
It never works out as well as you want it to because you only get one.
They Brilliant first. You shut down the second Brilliant. Okay.
So okay too. And Yukihimi's Hot Springs, if this effect is required, Yukihimi's Hot Springs will see play way over this one just because of how it synergizes with 3-for-1, 1-for-1 schemes. I don't think that there's, like I said, a lot of room for 2-for-2s. We played this in our Spider control deck that ran a gajillion holdings and just wanted mountains of gold. And we played it because why not? Here's another holding. A real deck would never reach for a card like this.
100% agree. I mean, you just compare it to something like Famous Bazaar. You'd rather just have your Famous Bazaar flips,
absolutely. Right? Here's Colonial Temple. It's a card. It sometimes is okay. I think with followers being what they are and with attachments being what they are, this card might see a little bit of fringe play. It's 3 gold. It fits into the schemes pretty well. If you're dropping a holding every turn and you're never missing and being forced to use it for 2 gold, you're doing okay.
I thought it would see a little bit more fringe play before rotation, but it's like because there were so many good followers at low price points, you rarely had to reach for 4 gold cost attachments.
Yeah.
That's changing a little bit. I think more people are interested in attachments that cost 4, and I think more 4 gold strongholds are looking at playing a big amount of 1-for-1s because of Forgotten Legacy. So like if you go 1-for-1 plus Colonial Temple on 1. That's okay, or you're getting this on 2 with the Forgotten Legacy that you got on 1. Like I can see any number of decks that are like first turn Temple of Destiny plus Forgotten Legacy, second turn Forgotten Legacy buys Colonial Temple, the other 5 gold buys a personality. The next turn, put down some attachments, one of which is used at the Colonial Temple and attack. Like I envision that being a very common sort of development system. And in that, Colonial Temple looks good, feels good, fits fine.
Yeah.
But again, it's fringy because if you force me between this and something like Mystic Dojo, which is a 3 for possible 4 for personalities, I'm always more interested in the 1 for personalities than the for
attachments. Of course, yeah. But like I said, and I'm looking at a lot of really heavy follower attachment decks. I liked those Philippine-style decks before. I think they've only gotten better. So I'm interested in a card like this. I don't know if a normal deck that has a more even skew, say you're playing 15 attachments, is worth it. Maybe. If you're playing 20, probably.
Depends on the cost of the attachments, too, is the other important
point. Right. If they're all clustered around 4 to 6, then you want something like this. It's also, we can just pop on. So Distracted Sentries is the first fortification holding I could maybe be argued into playing, and then it's poop because it's a 6 for 5. The trait is good because it keeps it from getting blown up, but it's still completely vulnerable to your Fukushi no Onis and your overwhelming offenses. And
I actually saw this card in a 20 Festa local play game against a Crane deck where it got blown up by an overwhelming offense, and I just smiled and thought of you and said, well, I'm so glad that I got to witness this. Of the fortifications, this is this like again, if you gave it expendable, that also would maybe, but it moves itself around or it straightens itself. I mean, in addition to moving, it straightens itself for the one card that lets you bow a
Yeah,
fortification.
meet it at the wall.
So, okay, I get it. That's the interaction, and in that fortification honor deck with the Sensei and this card, that stuff will all be there. But I don't think that deck's any good, and I don't think I would ever want to play. I mean, if I'm playing a 6 for 5, I don't want this Karmic Fortification. I want Merchant Atoll or Platinum
Okay, I want to
Mine.
talk. Let's. So we don't like the card. Let's talk about the flavor. Why can they straighten if they're distracted? Shouldn't it be Vigilant Sentries?
Yeah. No, I didn't hear anything. Stop trying to distract me. I am on a lucky
And
streak.
it's got
The
the.
Feather deck does not help me. I don't know.
It's got the 2 on the nose flavor text. This card's a total flavor fail. Why, if they're distracted, why are they able to get straightened? I'm really. When I
And
first
why
saw
are
that
they able
card,
to move before they're destroyed? It's like, yeah,
I don't get it.
running away. Okay.
All right, Elemental Library. This is our replacement for the other library that we could use to gain honor for nothing.
Temple of something, something, something.
You know, I don't know many decks that want this sort of effect. It's a 2 for 2 that needs to bow to do its action and spend more gold. I think this is going to see no play at all.
Also, worth mentioning that replacement is still currently legal, right? The replacement was from one of the expansions, the Coming Storm or Light in the Stands. So, like, you still have Temple of Serenity, which I didn't want to say because I don't like saying the word Serenity.
Because it
don't
reminds
ask.
you of
I don't want to get into it.
how
I don't
upset
want
you
to get
got when
into
the show
it.
was
So
canceled.
stop.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Um,
This one bows and gives you the cost reduction, which the other one does as well. But there's, if they share the keywords, you get the follow-up action.
Spell decks play to the board. Every once in a while, they try to give you these effects that, like, well, you can sneaky your spells. You're not going to sneaky your spells. Just play your spells.
I guess you can try to sneaky use Seeking the Way. That's about the only one that I can think of. But
Seeking the Way will go on, the naval guy, and that's that.
So maybe you play it with, the naval guy's water. You'd have to put this on like a Genma. You cavalry and Genma. But
no,
I mean,
I'm saying you're just going to attach it normally, attack, Seeking home. Like, there's no.
So you'll play Temple to Serenity. How many of these holdings that can attach things do you need? The answer is not that many. Okay, now on to the big boy. We're on to the one that sort of changes everything. I wrote an article about this sometime last week or 10 days ago or something.
I sort of wrote an article like a million years ago, back when I used to write articles about this, when it first was previewed. This card will be a triplicate in every single deck because
I don't know about triplicate. Every deck starts with 1 just by default, just as like your break in case of emergency. I got a terrible first turn and I got a bad cycle. So every deck has a 1. I think many decks go to 2. Just because it's good to be able to fish out things late game when you have extraneous gold. I don't. Lion decks and other starting with 3 gold probably go to 3 just because it's a 3 for 3 anyway. I don't know if I'm agree with you in triplicates, but certainly every deck has 1. Most probably have 2.
Yeah, I think that the fishing out. So everybody talks about this card as a turn 1 play, that you go turn 1, discard your card, recruit your Forgotten Legacy, buy a 1 for 1. I don't think that's as important because you still have your rulebook cycle. There's not a lot of situations where you need more gold on 1. I think that this card's power really comes through in the middle game and the late game when you can start subtracting holdings from your deck without costing any sort of personality flips. And for the same reason why why the Heavens Are Watching might see a little bit of play to thin out your deck and move through it more quickly, this will also see the same play for the same reason.
I mean, I play 3 in like a dragons deck where it's like at some point I just want to see dragons and nothing else and just get it out. Get it out.
If you figure you're playing 3 copies of this and 3 copies of Building Contract, that's 6 holdings out of your deck if you see all of them. If you see all the Building Contracts that you can just.
I love getting random deck shuffles. Who doesn't love shuffling their deck?
I mean, it thins your deck and it thins it in a productive way. And I think that's an effect that L5R hasn't seen much of, and it's an effect that people are going to underestimate.
Does cost a fake card, straight cost, no gimmicks getting around it. Like,
but
give a fake card.
The flip side of that is that with Temple of Destiny, we're going to see a lot of people in the market for a way to discard fake cards on turn 2 and turn 3.
I agree. It's a super important card, and one of the things I mentioned is like at first it'll be sort of an also ran put in their card, and then more and more people will build their decks around it, and those
No, I
decks will
think
have more and more
yeah,
success
I think
because
that
it gives decks consistency, and it opens up some really fascinating game plans. It does a great thing where, like you've talked about, its interaction with Temple of Destiny and other 1-for-1 holdings, but also opening up anybody to the world of the Blessed Herd and Weapon Artist and School of Wizardry or
yeah,
Lion playing 6 for 5. I mean, we got rid of these effects for a reason, and now they're back.
yeah.
Probably for one of the reasons we got, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine having these in the game. I'm fine explaining it to newer players. And I'm interested to see if this is a one-off thing or if like they play with this keyword some more.
Always dangerous.
Should we rant a little bit about like the return of that keyword specifically? I think that was a thing you were a little ambivalent on.
I'm not ambivalent at all. I hate it. I cannot stand this in the same way that I ranted about the madness thing, and I will eat my hat a little bit later in this review about that. But the English language is vast and extremely interesting. And if they couldn't come up with a different keyword for this type of effect, I don't know what to tell them. Just the blasé attitude that they just dismiss
Yeah.
any attempt to play legacy, to play open or eternal formats in O5R it's really off-putting sometimes. Like all they would have to do is just take a second and pick a new keyword and throw it out there, and that's it. And say this is that and that's that, and you can choose which one to use. You can use them both. It doesn't matter. But instead, they say, okay, we're going to do this new thing, and it's going to completely change how these other cards work.
Yeah, I don't even know how it impacts Big Deck or Modern. Do you start with the legacy stuff in Modern? I don't even know where they're at on that right now. Sparks maybe will hopefully listen to this and drop us a line and tell me, they're starting with Border Keeps over there still, right?
I have no idea.
But yeah,
We only played
okay.
like 3 games of Modern. But
Well, we did it with Border Keeps and Bamboo Harvesters. I think that's where they're staying with that. But like they still have they have to incorporate the ability to grab Legacy on one, right? So now I guess you can go first turn, grab 2 Forgotten Legacies, which are dropping 2 Fate cards because you start with 6 gold,
no, because you
and
see once
that's
per turn per text of Legacy. But you still
right.
do it. So like the
Okay.
more I think about it, I talked about this was an tournament play, but the more I think about it, the more I would flush if I had a 3 for 3 in my province, I would flush the 3 for 3 and just buy a Forgotten Legacy out of my deck just to move through
One
the
of the
deck.
things that's interesting is it actually might be kind of fun for Big Deck to have this card in specifically
Mm-hmm.
because like it's easy to hit 16 holdings in Big Deck construction, and then you just want to see one 3 for 3 on one plus grab a Forgotten Legacy.
Nice.
And then that's all your gold. You're running like 16 3 for 3 holdings and then just figure it out from there. Like that might be something. We don't play enough Big Deck in Modern right now. Sparks wants us to get on it more, but he's not the boss of me, and I like 20 festivals just fine.
Yeah, so play Forgotten Legacy. I think the number of these will slowly creep up in people's decks.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, I'm calling it now. Remember, I said it first. Fortified Docks, this is like one of these fringe Enlightenment cards. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play, but like I said, in sort of Enlightenment deck that wants to go like Fortified Docks, make like a naval, ambush you, do something, play whatever. Like that's where this card belongs. In case you're wondering, that's where it goes.
It's a port for Sons of Gosway and other things that care about ports. Um, a holding that destroys itself, you have to get a really powerful effect. I don't think gaining naval is actually that powerful, but I do think that you're never most abilities on holdings are only used once sort of a game or once at a very specific time. And like when you get to the point in the game where you want to start doing things like bowing your holding at some point is often just equivalent to destroying a holding.
Mm.
So I kind of understand how this card could see play. You're never going to play it, I think, in triplicate, but maybe one or two for for a very specific kind of deck. Like you say Enlightenment, maybe something that like a Kensei military deck where you've got some big weapon that would be good to get a naval action off of. But I think it's pretty much pushed up just by efficiency models.
Nah, I mean, I know this kind of card. I've seen them before. This is the kind of card that's played in decks that has a really tight fate deck that has a lot of moving parts, and you want to offload a sneak type effect onto your dynasty deck. What's
That's
interesting is
exactly
that
what it is.
this card fights directly with Into the Wastes for deck slot. I'm not sure Into the Wastes is worse. I think it might be better than a card like this. So you don't have to buy it. You just have to flip it and have it sit there. And like you set up your little combo, then you pop it into the waste, and you're good to go.
Yep. So next up, we got Forward Encampment, and I think this card will just get slotted into attachment-heavy decks or follower spells. It doesn't interact with items at all. But if you're playing trying to Hachiman in your follower deck, you can easily play Forward Encampments, and most of the time you won't be using them. But when you do use them, it's pretty great, actually. I mean, it's rebuying things for value. You have to pay the gold cost and everything. It doesn't give you the reduction, so your skeletal troops now cost 4 gold instead of 2, but getting your skeletal troops back from the discard pile in the middle of a battle is great.
Big game, yeah. This
Also,
card is excellent.
Works unopposed as an interaction, I think, is really important, where it's like you can do other stuff first and then get your thing back.
You're right. So you have to have been destroyed by the other players. You can't just like pitch it to New Year.
Yeah, there's no like combo stuff, right?
But you're right. Like they can blow up your thing, and then you don't have to do it right away. You can send their guy home or do something else, kill their guy, and then do it.
Yep.
I love this card. It reinforces my opinion that followers in Shugenja are totally pushed, and items in Kensei can go suck a lemon.
Yep.
I don't know what
With
you want to say.
This plus Hachiman, by the way, is really great for followers because it's like I put down my follower, and if they bow it, I've got this easy use holding over here, and if they destroy it, I have this other easy use holding over there. And that that makes it hard. And you can play things like Victorious Women as well, and it just makes it hard for them to get through your followers. And if they can't get through your followers, a lot of times they can't do much else. And you just sort of end up winning on force. So
yeah, total awesome card. Throw it in some decks. 2-for-2s, follower heavy decks can absorb 2-for-2s a little easier too because they're already playing Lonely Dojo. So there's a little bit of space. Fudao's Temple, this is just a 3-for-3. I don't know that the text box even matters, although every once in a while it could have come up. But bowing a 3-for-3 when you want cavalry, which would be on turns 2, 3, 4, 5, is a big cost.
Yeah, nobody plays Ikuma Yomi, the lion guy, though we're trying to play her really good, and she just gives followers cavalry as like a thing that she does, and she has naval. You'll play this, and you'll play it in triplicate because you're playing 3-for-3s because you're that kind of gold scheme deck. There's no more blow-up Fudo cards, so there's literally no worry about that now, and it's a temple from time to time when you care about temples. So this is a fine uncommon. You have to have some number of holdings that just do work, and this card just does work. The cavalry stuff is incidental. There's no more big Haruma Karus or something like that. It's a fine holding, though. No complaints.
Okay, Honored Sensei. I think this is another card we can talk a lot about because if you watched our online video, you saw that there's a lot of guys we really like in the set. There's Kun-An, there's the 4/4 monk with a spell, there's Seasoned Ronin.
There's Tunba Yaryo or whatever, the Dragonfly Naval.
The Dragonfly Knight, plus reaching back further, you have
Myokin. And you got tons of options. And in a land where clan holdings aren't going to exist, this card will be awesome because it will be what we get. It'll be a 2-for-3. But even now, if you've constructed your deck in a way to take advantage of this card, it's another clan holding, plus it gains you honor, and it's awesome, and it lets people play Naga, and people love Naga. This card's great. It's a great card. It's going to see a lot of play. You can run it with monks. There's at least some number of unaligned monks.
Yep. This card's just absolutely as though I needed more reasons to play like Tamori, the Bat Clan chick, and the guy who plays out rings. Like here it is. So this card is totally pushed. I think that it's going to skew deck construction for the next couple of arcs.
I want to complain a little bit just looking at the Oracle here. So this is the first time I noticed this. It says that in the keyword section on the Oracle, it says it's a retainer, and then it also says it's a sensei because it's called Honored Sensei, but it doesn't have sensei in the keyword section of the card.
Is that a technical errata? Is that a
you know what it is? It's bothersome. That's bothersome to me. Like
we're gonna use that
because when we get to our next card. You'll notice in Jade Mine, they
Jade
took the time to put both Jade and Mine. So, I mean, let's get some consistency here, can't we?
We can talk about this card and Slave Pit sort of as one and skip Slave Pits when we get there.
I think they're different, though, because I don't think Jade Mine is as good as Slave Pits. I think that the activation is something that you hold on to as doable, but it doesn't come up nearly as much as it used to. And they changed the templating on things a lot, and I don't know if I'm happy with it. I mean, so you notice they've been getting rid of they got rid of the little bow symbol for holdings.
Yep.
But this is just, they could have given it interrupts. They could have done a lot of stuff. I just, for some reason, I find this text box a lot more clunky than the old text box.
I don't know if I have an opinion on that. I think moving the gold production just the upper right corner, it's one of those change for change's sake. I think it might make it harder for a new one of those hypothetical new players to snap evaluate a card, but I don't think those players exist, and I don't make arguments based around them.
Sure.
So I don't really care one way or the
Still
other.
has Anthony Calabrese's name on it, so I still hate to play Calabrese.
Calabrese. I mean, I wanted to talk about this and Slave Pitch together just because they go in the same Mantis deck. I don't. This saw a little bit
Save
of
it.
fringe play outside of Mantis for other decks that were looking for explosive gold, but that's the deck that takes best advantage of it, getting 13 gold on turn 2 and then going nuts from there.
I don't even know if that's the case anymore. I think a lot of Mantis decks will have Kabune Port plus Slave Blitz plus House of Disgraced at 9, and then some Forgotten Legacies and some 1-for-1s and Famous
Yeah.
Bazaar type thing. I'm not even sure Jade Mine fits into those kind of explosive
Yeah,
Mantis decks
makes the
anymore.
cut anymore. Okay.
No. Oh, I have nothing to say about Kaio built defenses. It's a holding that interplays on bounds. So we went from having text on fortifications to saying they interplay bowed. Like they used to all be exceptions. Now none of them are exceptions except this one that interplay. I whatever. So it makes a range to attack, and that's great, but it only does it at its battlefield, which is less great. I get it. It's fine. It feels good, but I just don't think I'll ever play this deck, so I don't care.
Hold on a
Jesse?
second. I want to see. You cannot concealed archers this card, so I don't like it very much.
Okay.
Has to be a card in a unit. This is not in a unit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was some shenanigans about the definition of a unit in the rulebook a while back. Some sort of weird.
So you think you have some capacity in which you play this card? I just don't.
No, I just don't. Well, no, I was thinking about there's a card concealed archers lets you make lets you shoot with a card that's not at the battlefield.
I guess you can use the one Kaio holding and move like all your Kaio build.
Right, so this is the thing. So like, there's two cards. There's two Awakening the Shukudo or something. Man, L5R is a lot of things, but
cool names.
Easy to say the cards is not one of them.
Yeah.
So there's a kata in this set that says you can bow and move fortifications around. Let me just find that one. I thought it was like awakening the Shukido or something, but it's clearly wrong. Anyway, so there's that, and then there's a mastery of Chikujo. To absent battle, if there are enemy units out there, bow it to transfer it. So it's like package. It's like a reach around your head to make, but this isn't absent either, so never mind.
So the mastery one, I actually played this. The mastery one that lets you move stuff is an absent.
Right,
what's
but
the other?
This battle is not an absent. The other one is Kaiju built defense. There's Kaiju engineers.
Right, that's the thing that just moves fortifications around.
Right, and that's a battle open. So it is not an absent. So
I thought there might be a deck where you play 3 of these and your Kaiju built defenses and you get them all on one province and then they attack that one province. You're like, I got all these extra ranged attacks. But
I mean, that's how the deck's going to go. Like, to the extent that the fortification deck will be playable at all, it's always been like that you play these Kaiju defenses and you flip fortifications and you all just move them to one province. The problem is that on turn, say 4, okay, how many fortifications are you going to have on there, and are you going to resist the attack? Because that's the whole game. Like, if they take your one province that you're trying to build up by playing your whole deck on this province, they take it on turn 4, you're just done.
Sure.
So that's, and I tried to build that deck out of Phoenix with the guy that lets you rebuy fortifications because it seems really good, but it's not, and so that's why I'm super down on fortifications.
And I
Speaking
assume
of,
that Super Down, continues into Labor Crew. This one is a little more interesting in that, like, it lends itself to saving itself a little bit better if it's unbound. And then, of course, that's the
that's
part
the
that
rub.
needs to be acknowledged. Is like these things come into play bowed, and they're gold producing holdings, so they have a tendency to bow themselves over the course of the game, right? But I can see, like, okay, you're attacking this one with the Labor Crew, and I play block supply lines, and you try to move back in, and I negate it, and okay, but that interaction is very rare. It's sparse that it'll come up, and it's assuming that there's a good reason to be in the fortification honor business.
Which
And
is not.
I mean, playing some fortifications is okay because they gain you honor. Carpenter's Shrine, Poorly Placed Garden, but going all in on fortification defense, to me, that doesn't feel like it's something that is worth pursuing.
You're right that these are powerful effects, and they need to be powerful effects to be playable. But
Right.
I think
Because there's
without,
such a cost.
yeah, but like I said, you're just opening yourself up. Like whenever you build one of these decks, you're always in your mind, you're thinking about this awesome setup you're gonna have on like turn 7. The thing is that
Yep.
your fortifications go away between turn 4 and turn 7 because you're not gonna be able to save every single province all the time. Even if you split them up all over the place, like they'll still take 2. And so, how many fortifications do you have on those 2? How many provinces? How many explosives did you give them for free? And that was a 6
Yep.
gold card that we thought was too good, and you're just letting them play it on yourself over and over again. Okay, let's talk about Miroku no Shima. We can copy card traits that are not supported. Great, who cares?
Yep. I mean, that's it. So it's actually at a weird place right now because some of these are duelist, Kensei, are things that have specific rulebook effects and are bolded, and then there's a bunch of stuff that isn't that we
Right, I
don't
love
care
that those
about.
are bolded, but those are not. Really awkward.
Commander maybe will one day care. Magic.
Yeah.
Nobody's really playing 6 for 5s. I don't know if
Yep.
that will change. I don't think it changes much even with Forgotten Legacy. I just don't think this
No.
guy. But this is like I could see some world where copying Duelist onto a personality might be like a fun combo thing that happens in a deck, but not really do I see this.
I'm not there. This is, like you said, a 6 for 5, so no one wants to be reaching for it in the first place. And the problem with this card is that to copy the effect, you got to have the guy that has it already. And so you need to sell me on why I need 2 Kensei and not 1 Kensei, or why I need 2 Paragons and not 1 Paragon.
Sure.
And
play it in like a spider military deck where you have like just the one cheap Kensei, but the guy who makes weapons for everybody, and then over time you copy Kensei onto him just for a turn.
all right,
And everybody
here's the only situation I want to play this card. I'm playing Spider, and I have a Teirao and a Hiyamako in play. And Hiyamako bows for a banish. And in the 4 cards, I find a Instill this Forge Soul. So I add it to my hand and then give Kensei to Teirao in order to play Instill this Forge Soul and bounce it back to my hand. That's the only, like, I reached and I found one, and I'm never going to play this card. I didn't play it when it was first printed in Emperor. I'm not going to play it now.
Yep, but it's so rare so as to not be totally screwing up the draft, I guess. Pretty big bummer there. Mystic Dojo is a card that you're going to play a ton of because
Absolutely.
if you play Shugenja, you'll play it because it's 3 for 4.
So this is what's just killing me because most of the playable Shugenja now, or a big chunk of the playable Shugenja, are all unaligned. So we're playing Honor and Sensei, and we've got Mystic Dojo to give them even more gold. So not only are spells the best action suite, and Shugenja some of the best personalities in the game, but also they have the best gold. So as though you needed more reasons to be in Shugenja.
And it all sort of ports itself into, like, as you know, it all works together. It's all 2 great tastes that taste great together.
Absolutely. So the deck builds itself. You're going to be running 9 to 12 unaligned Shugenja. You're going to be playing Mystic Dojo and Arn Sensei and Final Ruin and a bunch of these really good spells that we'll talk about when we get to that part. And you just feel really good about your life.
The most important thing you buy with your holdings is personalities, and you're going to play all Shugenja, and this will always be a 3 for 4, and it will always be good. Nexus of Lies is always just a 4 for 4 that sometimes has an honor loss thing that you really care about, but 4 for 4s are good, especially in a world where you're cutting down on the number of holdings in your decks because of the safety net of Forgotten Legacy. And it's nice to have a 4 for 4 that's not a farm that gets blown up to Colonial Commons.
Did you see the MRP on this card? Did you notice it?
I did not. Before another non-Spider Clan player loses. I see it now.
I didn't catch it the first time. Non-Spider.
No, that was there before, actually.
I
think that was there before.
I challenge.
I think maybe it was
Let's
there.
click on Aftermath right here. Nope. See, here's the Aftermath effect for everybody. Before another player loses honor from a card he owns, increase the honor loss by equal to his starting family honor. Now,
I don't know if that matters. You start at 0. Like,
right, so what possible reason? You know why this card is on there?
The sensei, the courtier sensei?
Yep, throw in some Musu honor of bone.
Okay. I guess it means that Spider will continue to lose honor from their own card effects. So, whatever, man. It's still a great card, and we still don't care about that. Personal Dojo is a 3 for 3, and therefore some people will play it, and it has something to do with duels, so whatever. That is my entire cogent analysis. What?
Yep, so this card, yeah, it's fine. You'll play it. If you're reaching for extra 3 for 3s, you'll play it. I like this card better than other 3 for 3s you can reach for because it's a tireless interrupt, so you don't have to really do anything to gain the benefit of the action. The trade-off is that the action's pretty worthless.
I mean, it lets you target items and spells with your fear effects. It's like it doesn't even trigger off the duel. It triggers on your crappy fear effect from your sensei after you've won the duel. Okay, like, achievement unlocked. You've activated Personal Dojo. Good for you, man. Here's a gold star.
This card's total rub-ins. The old Fear Dueling Dojo, which I thought was Personal Dojo.
The 3 for 3 that nobody asked for. The one with the tireless interrupt to increase fear effects after you won.
The one that you deserved.
Yep, I guess. So, on to Platinum Mine. This is one of those direct-to-player set cards that is now being reprinted as uncommon. Because I guess it was originally an uncommon in that weird direct-to-player set where nothing is a common. It lets you play really big attachments, and there are some bigger attachments that are maybe worth playing. And I love to play the Abbot, and I'll straight.
Right. I wanted to talk about the Abbot.
Platinum Mine, yeah.
So the Abbot is the reason to play this card, and I actually have a whole Abbot deck in my mind. I will play Platinum Mine in it. I might even try to play Ninja Shapeshifters to get more Abbot effects, but that's reaching a lot. This deck will see some fringe play. I say, like, in a top 8, there will be 1/2 copy.
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
You know, like, the deck will play like 1 copy if it's playing big attachments or something. I don't know. I'm reaching here, and the payoff isn't really worth much. If you end up buying an attachment, you get 6 for 6 instead of 6 for 5. It's like whoop-de-doo. It's much better to just play Colonial Dojo and move on with your life.
And we're on to Puppet Theater Troupe.
Speaking of whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, so this was a card that I still remember playing. I played it in, like, when it first came out, which I want to say was Gold.
You can look right here. I think it was Diamond. I remember it from.
I mean, I'm not looking at it. It was in Gold. So I never played it when it was 3, and then it changed to 2 in Lotus, but nobody played it in Lotus because I mean we had a lot better stuff going on in Lotus, and it just sort of got lost to the vagaries of time. I think it's a really powerful card, though. I think that it just can stop honor decks. Not stop, but can slow honor decks dramatically as sort of honor meta holding if you need it to. But I don't think anybody's really going to play it. I don't think that people care enough. Like, if you're playing a dishonor deck and you want to be able to say to your honor opponent, you can never win because I'm causing you so much honor loss every single turn, this helps you there. But I just don't. I don't see who's playing this card and for what purpose.
No one's going to reach for this. If anybody wants honor meta, they've got better options in a new order and a time for action.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
Yeah, it's a 2 for 2. No one loves 2 for 2s. It's got a bow to do its thing. No one loves you got a bow to do your thing. This is a man without a home. Next card.
Yep. Questionable market. This card's going to see all kinds of play. It's market forward, and it's a 1 for 1, which is great. It's also a 3 for 3, which is also great. I'm happy it's a common because a lot of people want to play it.
Yeah, I don't know why this card is so pushed. I saw it and I knew that this is the future of L5R. Like as though we needed more reasons.
Welcome, come to the future.
As though we needed more reasons to be in 1 for 1s and 3 for 3s.
Hey, wealth tokens, man. What is it about wealth tokens that just make them like wealth tokens are some of the most profoundly powerful tokens. Secluded Waystation got wealth tokens. Trying to Daikoku got wealth tokens. There's something about wealth tokens. They're just
Oh
that's
man.
the token for me.
That is the token for me. I don't know that I have a lot to say about this card except that it just pushes you. Doesn't push you, it shoves you. It like shoves you down the staircase straight into 1 for 1, 3 for 3. If you were gonna try to hold out with some sort of 4 for 4, 2 for 2 scheme, like you're a
Or
big
like, I'm just
putz.
gonna play all my Forgotten Legacy 3 for 3 heroes. Or play this one too. Like get in, get on the
Absolutely.
bus, baby.
Absolutely. Like
So
one for
great.
ones. I know I wrote a little bit. I keep referencing this article. Go read it. It's one of my favorite articles I've written. They really started pushing 1 for 1s hard ever since they introduced them with gold pooling, and like 2 for 2s that has been left in the dust. So don't play 2 for 2s. Play
Wait,
1 for 1s and
are
play
you
questionable
telling me
market.
once upon a time you wrote articles? I call shenanigans.
I got another one. I got another one in the brew here. It's
Listen.
gonna be up in the next
So
couple days. Let's talk about
Reserve
reserve commander though.
Commander, a 2 for 2 that fits in the if you want a million followers, play this card. And certainly we've seen other holdings that support wanting a million followers. Certainly we've played decks that want a million followers. So I feel like I can find space for this.
Absolutely. This is another one for like a
Watch
Philippine
Commanders,
style. Yeah, watch
know,
commander.
yeah,
See,
four, five,
here's my new
six.
answer. You
Yep.
duel me, sure, I'll just die. Here's my new idiot with all my stuff, and then I kill you with my ranged attack, and then we're done. The bad thing about this card is that it does not transfer anything else. So once again, items go suck a lemon. I don't understand.
Four,
Like
four.
we've now seen like 2 cards that reference spells, 3 cards that reference followers, not a single card that supports items. So just point that out.
And I think a lot of the times you're gonna like create the guy and you're gonna transfer the followers to him, and then that guy will also just die because it's like a 0-1 chi guy. But I like making them
See,
take extra actions and things matters.
I disagree on that one actually because followers,
I feel like
especially
there's
large
only so many
force,
ways to get
right,
through the actions,
right,
right? Yeah,
especially large force followers, they're really solid protection. So if they've got something like a Zilkit's family plus a core is released, and you can just reserve commander out a new guy, I don't see them having another way to get through all that stuff.
sure. Yeah,
Uh,
that's a really good point.
so popping onto Secret Dojo here. I hate this
Yo,
holding. It's another 2 for 2 minus. It's an interrupt meta action, another minus, and it destroys the holding, another minus. And I believe in America we have a saying about strikes and outs.
there we go. Well done. I got nothing. I'm letting you just take. You're dropping the mic on that.
Boom. Talk about slave
Slave
pits,
pit.
Paul.
Hey, and it's on mine. So in case you're playing the card that searches for other minds, here's a really great mind that I could probably interest you in. Because in the land of all 2 for 2s and 3 for 3s, the 2 for 3 becomes king, and this is the 2 for 3 when you go second. 3 copies of Triplicate and Spider because you're losing to Dishonor anyway. 3 copies of Triplicate and Mantis because you don't really care that much about the honor loss. You can go up, you can go down. You got a bunch of 1 PH guys. Scorpion probably as well if you're on a rec support. I mean, this card is just awesome. It's a great card, and it's going to be in tons and tons of decks, and tons of better go second deck as a way to help. I'm going second, but I can have more explosive than you. Take. Yeah.
Absolutely. Retemplated to be courtesy, whatever. But this card is just totally bananas awesome. I think any deck that can support the honor heads, every low honor military faction, every deck that's playing a bunch of sticks, they're all going to be running slave pits, and everyone's going to be loving it.
How do you feel about so your courtesy? Should we talk? I don't know. Do you have any opinion on the fact that like it's a chosen figure of courtesy, where it's like what you like they kind of make it a goofy ability or something? Like
Well, no,
this is
it's
another of those cards that I feel less, but I feel like the version where you just had like the boss symbol produce gold and then a separate line. The boss symbol did not go first this game, produce the gold. And I felt like that was just a cleaner way. But maybe that's just because that's what I'm used to.
no. Sorry about the audio here, everybody. China, shout out. But I agree with you completely. I think the 2 lines of text is a little bit better. This courtesy +1, lose 2. Yeah, it does feel a little bit contrived. But let's pop on to the next card. Small library. This is a reprint, I believe, from Celestial Edition. I don't know how much play it saw back then. I'm sure it was more than it's going to see now because efficiency is much more important now. Although you can run a lot of these effects now. You can run 3 copies of this, 3 copies of Famous Bazaar, and 3 copies of Jade Bazaar.
I don't even think it wasn't that far back, Celestial. I think you were around. But I think this was an Emperor card,
Mm-hmm.
and 4-3 was still not very good then because the way we work border keeps and things. It's okay. It's not famous bizarre. I want it to be famous bizarre. It's not.
Yeah.
If you put the regal face up on a 2-for-2 or 3-for-3 or 1-for-1, it's good. If it's a 4-for-4, it's great. 4-for-3, less than good. Less than great.
Fair enough.
Because production is still number one with a bullet on hold. Which is why Sawano Dojo is awesome.
Sawano Dojo, I love this card. So we've now seen 2 cards with a trait that give +1 gold. Sawano Dojo is not a 3-for-3 that gives +1 if your stronghold is less than 4. It's a 3-for-4 that has -1 if your gold production is 4 or greater. So, you tell me.
Consistency! Yeah!
Yeah.
Awesome card.
Way too pushed. I don't know. Like, this card is just goofy and stupid and pushed. I don't get it.
So we want to be starting gold production to be a hindrance, but then give them this holding that can completely undo that. And being a bit hyperbolic because 3+4 is 7, whereas 4+4 is 8, and 8 is bigger than 7. And I get it, but yeah, if we're gonna have 3 gold starting boxes, I feel like we shouldn't also have this really great holding that can undo all the work.
All right, so let me lay out the situation, a gold situation on here for you. So I am playing Lion. I go turn 1, Copper Mine plus Deep Harbor. Okay. So on turn 2, I have 8. I have 8 gold of production, right? And then on turn 2, I can go flip Sawano Dojo, building contract Sawano Dojo, buy Sawano Dojo, and then another 1-for-1. So on my turn 3, I have 8 plus 8 plus 1. I have 17 gold.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that 3 production, like with building contract and Sawano Dojo, and all of like some 2-for-3 action, I'm not sure that 3 gold boxes.
Theoretically, your guys aren't any cheaper, even though they are still.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
I'm just saying that like 3 gold boxes may not be the penalty that we think they are anymore.
Right. Like, yeah. No. We've started to see that a little bit at the end with 20 festivals strict and some more intelligently constructed golds. I mean, I played Rei Sensei and Kotai, which 3 gold was never the problem with the deck ever at all. Just never came up.
Yep. So Sawano Dojo totally pushed. Play it whenever you can. Let's talk about Temple Fortress. This is an interesting card. I really like it as a design. I think it mixes up what an honor holding is and does.
You play it with your 3 caught unawares and your 3 hidden defenses and slowly get to their honor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a castle for your
castle sending things home. Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking of the one that gives you a province increase for each castle, but yeah.
Also good. So it's always been a weird math question of what the honor does this card generate, and is it worth taking hits? And I think that question is still, for me, unanswered. But in the past, the answer has been like, always, yeah, absolutely. Buy this thing on turn 1, turn 2, buy another guy and some cheap gold.
And absolutely.
Buy holdings, and over the course of the game, you'll have spent 4 gold and generated from it 5 honor, and that's great.
Right. So the thing about this card is that I always compare it to Kabuki Theater Troupe, and it stacks up really favorably in my mind to Kabuki Theater Troupe because it always gains you honor and always makes gold. Like, sure, it's a 4-for-2, and sure, production is king right now, but you need honor. Honor doesn't grow on trees. You got to find it somewhere, and you need gold. And sort of this card does everything you want it to do. I think that honor decks are going to be playing this as a 3F staple, and I think it's going to be hit with a Mark of Heaven's Favor, which is the new Caesar's Blessing all over the place.
It puts it up, sure. No, and I think that's a fine place to start for a lot of honor decks, and I don't have any counter argument to say no, that's not any good, because with honor you need to like. The thing with honor is I always want to buy one guy and proclaim him every turn to get that honor point, but there's a huge diminishing return when it comes to the value of having that personality in play. I just want him for his PH, damn it. I don't care about anything.
What's the guy?
So
You need a certain amount of bodies to bow and
I
do
want
stuff, but that
I want
caps off
Temple
pretty quick.
Fortress on one, 4 gold cost guy or 5 gold cost guy if you're unicorn on turn. Like my turn 2, I want to like proclaim and use my Temple Fortress to buy my clan holding, and
Yep,
I just want to keep proclaiming and gaining honor every turn thereafter.
absolutely. So I can see a deck that runs like Otomo Teneji plus Temple Fortress plus Honored Sensei, so you can go like proclaim your guy, gain 3, and then buy Teneji, Temple Fortress, or with the guy, so you get PH +1. Then you buy your Teneji with your Honored Sensei and gain another
Yep.
2, and like that's gonna be a really fast honor deck. That's a show.
Yeah, it's there and it's great. Also great is the Temple of Destiny. There's some really great. That's some great back-to-back
Temples, yeah, temples have been doing really good. There's a remote temple we really like. This is Temple of Destiny we really like. Temple Fortress. As a card type, man, temples are
Do we
doing
have
it.
anything to say about this other than change rare and awesome?
This card is so self-evidently pushed that there's not much that needs to be said about it. I think the
The
most
spikiest of spiky cards. I want to say a little bit about this set. Like the last couple of sets leading into 20 festivals, and now Temple of Destiny is 20 festivals. The cost of a fate card, like how expensive it is to get a fate, it's really started to change. And the first big change was with Victory through Deference, right? Where it's like Victory through Deference was a fine card with a good, powerful effect and a meaningful focus effect, but you could also just invest it for 1 to draw a card.
Yep.
And then what's the meta card people are playing right now? A New Alliance was like, this is a card that shuts things down, and that's because, but you can also invest it for 2
and
to draw a card.
Ornery,
And obviously,
same thing. Invest for 2, draw
the
a card.
general cost of like a cantrip was 2 because that's what Karmic is, and the general cost to draw a fate card was sort of 3 because that's what the Mantis Stronghold sets up. But that always felt a little pushy. Like back in the day, a fate card cost you 5 gold. You had to use your traveling peddler and the 3 gold to pay for the peddler.
Yep.
And then there were other things that were slightly more efficient. My single favorite holding ever. Do you know my single favorite hold ever, Jesse? Do you remember it? Absolutely, Shrine to Fukurukujin. I remember when I first cracked playing fate decks that only had 3 focus or less and a bunch of 4-chi guys, just so that thing would always be turned on.
So yeah, you have to distinguish between targeted fate draw and like fate. So card selected fate draw and blind fate, like a guaranteed draw and a non-guaranteed draw. So like Fukurukujin was always 2 because it wasn't guaranteed. I mean, obviously it wasn't our decks.
Counting House is 2 because it costs losing the province being down on provinces first, right?
Yeah.
So
but Peddler's a good gold standard.
Really stuff to, and Temple of Destiny, it's just big card
1, boom, draw a card. Yep, and absolutely.
That's just great, and that's as good of a value as you're going to get in a long time. And I don't think you'll see. I mean, you look at 7 gold cost Destined personalities that seem to cost 7 just because they have the Destined trait, and here it is on a 1-for-1 holding.
Now I know why this card exists. So this card exists because of Forgotten Legacy.
Correct.
So the idea is you have to pitch a card. Well, this is what I'm going to talk about. They're saying it has to exist because so you have to pitch a card to Forgotten Legacy to get it, and then you pair it with your Temple of Destiny and get your card back. The thing is that it's supposed to be Forgotten Legacies exist as a virtual 5th province. You can buy them out of your deck at any time at no cost to your Dynasty flow, and in fact to net positive to your future Dynasty flows because it's 1 less holding in your deck. Temple of Destiny being here and negating that cost, I think, pushes Forgotten Legacy even further and a little bit too much.
Yeah, and I don't think that was a necessary thing. I feel like if you were to suggest a 2-for-2 whatever type of holding, a 2-for-2 dodo that was just destined, you'd be laughed out of the room. No, we never make that. That's much too good. They'll get 2 of them on the first turn, draw 2 cards. What happens if my opponent just flips clan holding plus 2 Temple of Destinies and he's just away with it?
Right. But that's the other thing to talk about here is that this card has to be paired with Forgotten Legacy because it's the only way to prevent yourself from unnecessary discards on turn 2 and turn 3, especially against Scorpion, which is going to be everywhere. I think that players, no one's thinking about it. I mean, I'm sure people are because they've started to play some 20 Festivals games, but I haven't printed out my Collide Edition cards yet and really shuffled up.
Sure.
Except for a couple quick goldfishes. But this like even in decks that I've played in the past that run like Glimpse of the Unicorn and Wisdom Gain, like it's really easy to get to 9 cards. You get to 9 cards, you got to pitch a card, and you've lost some of the card advantage that you generated from all the effects that you jealously guarded to get all these cards. So Forgotten Legacy is a way to spend your cards right away, like turn one. Okay, I flipped the Temple of Destiny. I can just right now activate my Forgotten Legacy, get rid of that card, and now I'm on track. I can keep my sculpting my hand without having to throw cards away meaninglessly. And I think that's really
I do like
important.
the idea of like I buy my Temple of Destiny, use my floating gold to take my Destined building the contractor's action. Like that's something that's gonna happen, and I look forward to the sun glazing over my opponent's eyes when I start doing action in the middle of my dynasty phase.
Oh, absolutely. This is also
Oh,
a great
awesome
building
car.
contract target, by the way. If you just have a building
Yep.
contract, you just contract to have a
I
temple for
just
2, draw
pull
a
it out,
card,
man. Like,
move on
yeah,
with your life.
absolutely.
All right, Blessed
The
Herd.
karma card. Yeah.
Blessed Herd. I gushed about the undead guy. I gushed about Seasoned Ronin. I'm gonna gush about Blessed Herd with an asterisk because it is a 7 for 6,
Right.
and it
So,
does have to
so
bow
the
to do
answer
its thing.
is pretty significant. Buying a holding that makes 6 gold much different than buying a holding that makes 2 gold.
Right, but
But
and it's a big but we do have we
you say it's a horse-sized but
it's a big but. It is a really powerful blanket force effect, and it is pretty much exactly the same powerful blanket force effect that dominated the tournament scene
sure.
last arc. And so I think it is still a card to keep your eyes on.
I agree. Obviously, the difference is cavalry are more expensive because they have cavalry, and you're spending more. But yeah, I mean, this is a cool card, and I think it'll be fun to see if if 4 gold trying to build around being like weapon artists and that kind of stuff. And it's a big goal. I mean, holding are by their nature the lowest part of L5R deck construction and deck design because at this, there will always have to be the first and most important thing they ever do. But I do like with the reintroduction of legacy holding, you can start thinking about bigger holding than playing the clue outpost of the line, stuff like that. And I'm curious to see if any big game more spending. If decks with personalities around these 7, 8, and cost come together, they might play this card. And I'm really curious to see if that happens. It's not going to happen right away. I don't think that people are interested in trying to do it that way right now. But I like the Blessed Herds out there.
I agree. I am a little worried that it's one of these cards that's either not good enough or a little too good. But
Yeah.
I'm so far from being concerned about it being too good that I'm just not going to worry for it.
Also, I am, as talking about that card, I'm further concerned about the dojo because here's another holding that blows itself up after your guy wins the duel. He permanently gains fearful.
I had one more thing. I had one more thing about Blessed Dojo, the Blessed Herd before we move on. I think total wombo combo with Temple of Fudo.
Sure.
All right, now I'm done. Now I'm done. Obsidian Dojo. This card is trash. Anything Obsidian. Obsidian holdings have not really done very well in the past.
Keep in mind the last one. That's the one that's sold on the one Dojo based on that.
Obsidian Mine.
I don't love that like none of these things get the Shadowlands holding like the Shadowlands either. I do like it because I can now run in a fierce deck out of any faction and just like hey, that guy like troll my spider friend and just be like my crane dueling on deck and play just called Alpha basically deck they're trying to do. So like take that, man. I got 12 hours over here.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about this card. It's so on the nose. Like, it's a fear dueling deck, so when you duel, you get fear.
If you game holding, it was just open, blow this up, gave your guy permanently for 4. I might play that. I think maybe about playing it, but I probably wouldn't play it.
No, I don't think you would.
And this one, I have to do it. Well, I mean, I me it would be for like the final battle and setting it up. But like if you clean it up, give my I don't know 2 force or 2 gold bunk up your 4 fact, right? Like, it's where we're getting value. I'd be like towards the end of the game, you'd such a holding it up and turn your cheap Pudwhackers into a slightly better Pudwhacker by just throwing 3 or 4 effects on them in the same way they do the one monk set. But having to deal with the dual, the triggering, and I just whatever, man. I'm moving on to Jesse Case. Throw the bend.
Okay, I will eat my hat. I meant to make a hat. I was gonna make like a paper pirate hat and actually eat it on camera. I suppose I still could if you really think people would want to see me eat a hat. So we talked about me. So there's 2 Scorpion guys that reference the Madness trait or reference Madness tokens. I wrongly assumed that the Madness thing was some sort of Bitter Lies technique tie-in, because the only 2 personalities that feature the Madness tokens are both Bitter Lies, Kensai.
I believe there was someone involved that maybe suggested it was related to Penku.
Right, I don't know. And so I guess the Madness tokens are in fact the same Madness tokens as before. As we can see here, this man sitting upside down, he's worth the same amount of gold as like many senseis and other holdings. He's worth the same as an entire famous market. This is not a terrible holding.
There's a great phrase that I can now employ, which I believe goes, I believe I had that with regards to the Magic. So check it out.
Yeah, this is not a bad holding. Below straightening your guys. There was a time when to straighten your guys, you had to really jump through a lot of hoops. This is just bam, straighten. It's an open, not a battle open, so it's not the best in the world. And it's much, much better at giving out the stupid tokens than the Temple of Madness was, because for the first one...
Another one of those awkwardly phrased things. Like, they couldn't just give it entirely open. Like, I don't know. I don't know that. There's other ways to it, but I just holding if you have not given any Madness tokens this turn, giving personality and Madness token. Odd, but whatever.
For sure. I just don't know what Madness tokens do. They didn't do anything before except inspire me to build thousands of aborted Poison the Cup decks. Yeah. And I remain... Whatever. This card's just like whatever. It's a cool Panku. I thought the Panku stuff was over and done. That was the whole point of the Gen Con win where Fudo survived. Panku did not. But amusingly, Panku gets a card to like be legal into the next arc. And Fudo gets to get their temple that has the name but absolutely no flavor to it. So rock on. You won a Gen Con, you made a decision, and designed to do whatever it wanted.
and nothing of value is lost.
All right,
okay, here's Trading Grounds.
I've got quite a bit to say about Trading Grounds. I'm not sure what to think of this card. I haven't extensively tested it yet, but it feels like it has enormous potential.
Absolutely. I think that's how it's meant to feel. The fact that this is one of those cards whose value, whose stock soars with the ability of doing gold pooly stuff. The idea that like I can get 2 of them or I guess let's say you're playing something like Lion and you get like 1 plus a Deep Harbor and like suddenly your production potential is just really high, right? I mean, it's just you convert
there's some rules changing stuff. We can't do any sort of chicanery with I buy a 1 for 1 with this and then push the 3 over to another guy. They've decided that this gold on cards like this don't go into the pool. There's like sub pools that exist. It's a mess. But needless to say, simple. No way. Needless to say, so the thing is that this card trades up really aggressively. And
absolutely.
It's still price positive. It still makes more than it costs off of a building contract. So if I contract this on 1 plus a Deep Harbor, then on 2, when I want to be buying gold again anyway, I have access to 4 plus 4 plus 2. I have 10 gold, which is nothing to shake. It's nothing to sneer at. And if you flip 2 of these naturally on 1, and then you've got access to 12 gold on 1 or on 2. So now 12 gold only for holdings. But then we talked
But
about bigger holdings maybe being possible.
two 6 gold cost holdings or something like that. Two
Right.
merchant atolls on turn 2, and then your purchasing power on turn 3 is that 10 plus. So the problem with trading grounds is and always has been that like there comes a point in the game where you never want to buy holdings and you only want to buy guys or you only want to attach followers, only want to do all these other things. But there may be a way to set things up where trading grounds is just straight amazing awesome.
So we talk about when we
I'm
talk
thinking
about honor.
specifically of fortification decks there, by the way, but yeah,
No, I don't think it's going to be fortification decks. I think it'll be some kind of
because
big
it
gold
would
deck.
cost more. Yeah, that's kind of a non-bo.
the
Yeah.
the interaction. Well, you don't have to play the sensei to play the fortification deck. In fact, I think you specifically don't want to play this. Like I said in the sensei video, it actually reduces your province strength in the fortification decks.
Sure.
But so we talk when we talk about honor, we talk about dishonor, we talk about this idea of sort of in a course of a game how much honor or dishonor does a card cause, and using that as a metric for evaluation. And I think that trading grounds, we have to apply a similar evaluation of how much gold will produce over the course of the game,
Right.
to productively compare it to another holding. Because we can say something like, okay, this card's really bad because you go turn 1, 2, 3, buy gold with it, then turn 4, you just want
Do
to buy
nothing.
guys and holdings, and then it only makes 1. So the question is,
But
if you had used it productively on turns 1, 2, and 3, if you bought it on 1 and you went use it make 4 on 2, use it make 4 on 3, use it make 4 on 4, so it made 16 gold, and then say for the last 2 turns it's just 1, 1, so it goes 17, 18. So over the course of the game, you paid 2 gold and you got 16 gold or 18 gold out of it. Like, is that bad? And I think that
right.
that stacks favorably with even a clan holding.
Yeah, I think so too. The question is, how do you construct a deck built around trading grounds that then might not see the trading grounds, and then like how does it fall back? It's gonna take reps. I mean, I can certainly envision, and it's actually not that hard to construct the sequence of holding purchases into guy purchases that makes trading grounds look like the super awesomest holding ever, right? I mean, and I can even get super
Well,
tricky and be like, what if I go, 2 trading grounds on turn 1, and then on turn 2, I use this trading ground to buy a coastal lane, and I use this other trading ground to buy a coastal lane, and use my box to buy
a
a
coastal
Nexus of
lane.
Lies or
Sure,
something,
sure,
and like
sure.
now I'm at 20 gold on turn 3. I mean, it's easy to come up with that, but the nature of variance in CCGs is where we're going to have to get into the nitty gritty of trading ground build schemes. We're going to have to fiddle with it to see if it produces the consistent results that other holding schemes are easily capable of generating in a post-Forgotten Legacy world. And that's where I think the question mark for trading grounds is how consistent can we get these setups to be, and on
Sure.
their worst end, how effective are they? But certainly trading grounds is a good card, and it the fact that it has me and you and I think other players thinking about different interesting ways to construct holding schemes, that means it's a really well designed card and a really sort of clever insertion into the
Yeah,
set.
yeah, and
Because I mean, look where we are spending time talking about it and thinking about it, and that's noteworthy.
well,
We're not dismissing it. We're not saying it's great.
I'll start by saying that building contract is a card I talk about a lot, and part of that's just because
Sure.
we're doing the holding review, and it's sort of
And
underdeveloped
it's
when I
one of the
talk about it.
different sort of rares from the set, a dynasty rare that gets holdings. That's neat.
Um, it means you'll have access to your trading grounds at any time. Pretty if you can draw this, so we can move through our fate deck reasonably quickly with cards like Temple of Destiny. We can move through our Dynasty deck reasonably quickly with cards like The Heavens Are Watching. I'm I think that our ability to get any singular holding is extremely high, and this card works really well as a 3 for 4 instead of as a 2 for 4, because then you could just buy it on 1 paired with your 1 for 1s you're running anyway because you're also running Forgotten Legacy. If you end up flipping it on 1 naturally and buying it, you're still running your clan holding, so there's plenty of pairs to make it. You'll be running between 6 to 9 2 for 2 holdings, or like 2 cost holdings. Um, or you just go trading ground plus a 1 for 1, and you're still not doing so bad because you hold your other holdings and try to flush into something. Or you just end up using this to pay for one of your building contracts when that recruit action is caused to happen.
Yeah, that's
So,
really cool.
So I mean,
Yep.
there's a lot this card can do, and I think that it doesn't necessarily fight with a Forgotten Legacy scheme because I think that Forgotten Legacy is so flexible and push that you don't need a lot of edifice surrounding it.
Okay, I agree. So I mean, having said all that, I've now constructed like a dozen decks, and I don't think I've got Trading Grounds in one of them. So maybe that's an oversight on my part, or maybe it speaks to the sort of built-in routines and psychology of L5R players, where something like Trading Grounds can look really cool, and we can acknowledge can be really cool, and then just never ends up seeing play anyway because it takes someone a lot of time, effort, and energy to get it to be good.
Absolutely. And like working out gold schemes is one of the most boring parts of deck construction. You want to get onto the cool stuff, the attachments, the guys.
Yep.
And it's interesting because design is really trying to push all of these different gold schemes and have you think
And
about
I think
gold.
successfully. I think the introduction of the legacy holding sort of does things. In fact, and it might have even, honestly, if they didn't put that 16 minimum on Forgotten Legacy, would be in an even different place, right? So
Well, we'd be in this really weird, I don't even know what place. But yeah,
let's not think about it.
let's not think about it. Let's go into traveling
Okay, so the
market. This
last
is
couple
just
here are pretty straight. Traveling Market 3 for 3 with Karmic. I don't know, like Karmic and 3 for 3 schemes has never been that enticing and exciting because you're almost always overpaying for the Karmic, or you're often overpaying for the Karmic. But that'll do, right? People play Voices of Experience, and you have your Forgotten
absolutely.
Legacy.
I think
Like
someone left a comment
it,
on the site about Karmic really smoothing things out. I think Karmic was a huge hit as far as keywords go. I think that this card
and I
is
mean, I've
excellent.
built decks around the Karmic keyword and that Kumate grounds that you like do the Karmic for
Hmm.
free. So Traveling Market, great card, still a
Well,
great card.
yeah, you don't need to go all in for a card like this to be good. This is just so that on turn
Yep.
four, this is on turn 5 and 6. When you flip it, you just get rid of it and see a guy instead. And you're just happy for that. You're fine overpaying because you've got gold coming out of your ears at that point. And the last card is Hot Springs. Hot Springs compares favorably to Pearl Bed because
Cold
A, it's
Superla, but
cheaper, it costs
it
less.
still compares disfavorably to Temple of Destiny, Questionable Market, Bookkeeper, Deep Harbor. So I mean, like let's not pretend that like because it's a 1 for 1, it gets a little more value. But I can also name, 7
Yeah,
or
yeah,
8
yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So I
Yeah,
think it's
Blade of
not.
Immorality, Toil of
Yeah,
Zokujin, and
Brilliant Cascade End, which is a foundational card for decks. Like it's not. I don't think this thing gets in any decks either. Maybe it's like a
a
one-off.
one-off. This is a
It's
fun-off
a
type
fun-off.
card. If they
You
play
know,
some sort of totally bonkers holding ability, maybe you'll see more plays, but not really because of the way that those footsies work. It'd have to be a battle action.
I used to like the idea of playing 1 or 2 for like Honor Dishonor, but then it turns out it's not any good against Dishonor because they just shut it down with their Stronghold all the time, so that it's like okay against Honor if they have multiple. But it's just
It's not.
there's
Yeah, it's
better
never.
keeper cooling. Specifically, I think Bookkeeper is poised for this huge resurgence in play
Yeah,
because it's just you tend to buy some number of holdings. So it's like turn 1 is Bookkeeper plus Forgotten Legacy, and then like Bookkeeper buys a holding on turn 2, and now it was like you had of a non-corrupt Lane of Immorality. I mean, stuff like this is just going to be pushing Yukihimi's Hot Springs way the heck off the bus.
absolutely.
And that brings us to the end of Events Plus Holdings. This is one of our longest videos, but that's because it was like 40-something cards.
Yeah, 90 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry there was some audio pops in there on Paul's end because China.
Pop, pop,
Um, there's
pop,
not
pop.
there's not a lot we can do about it. So
Batman
if you
dance.
powered through them, then thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. Leave comments and stuff. Follow us on Twitter, Tube, Verse, Book, and leave comments. We love reading your comments and responding to them. We try to respond to all the comments. So come talk to us about cards, guys. Come debate the fineries of when Koteis became Koteis and they weren't worldwide
Yes, sir.
tournaments.
Shout
All
out,
right,
man. Shout.
this is absolutely been enough talk. I'm Jesse. That's Paul. I'll catch you guys next time.